Let us all begin this evening's event with an invocation by Ashwath Narayanan, a Shastra graduate from the 2014 batch. May I request you to please stand up in silent devotion.
मैत्रीं भजत अखिल हृजयत्रीं मैत्रीं भजत अखिल हृजयत्रीं आत्मवदेव परानपि पश्यत आत्मवदेव परानपि पश्यत युद्धं त्यजत स्पर्धां त्यजत त्यजत परेष्वक्रममाक्रमणं त्यजत परेष्वक्रममाक्रमणं मैत्रीं भजत अखिल हृजयत्रीं जननी पृथ्वी कामधुगास्ते जननी पृथ्वी कामधुगास्ते जनको देवः सकलदयाळुः जनको देवः सकलदयाळुः दाम्यतदत्त दयध्वं जनता दाम्यतदत्त दयध्वं जनता श्रेयो भूयात् सकलजनानां श्रेयो भूयात् सकलजनानां श्रेयो भूयात् सकलजनानां श्रेयो भूयात् सकलजनानाम्.
Chennai's very own Nilaya Vidwan, Shastra's Asthana Vidwan, and an independent public intellectual. And SASTRA University's distinguished research professor on legal anthropology, a great thinker, Mr. S.GURUMURTHY, an equally sharp mind in corporate finance, Mr. S. Mahalingam, and what an audience that proves the intellectual fertility of Chennai. And every time that we conduct an event, it has only increased in terms of the quality. So it's an audience of this type that elevates the quality of an event of this type. And not only the audience sitting here, those watching this show, webcast as well as live telecast, sitting in different parts of the globe. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm extremely happy to welcome all of you for this 13th Nani Palkhivala Memorial Lecture organized by the School of Law at SASTRA University. We have made a slight departure in the usual process. We usually conduct the Nani Palkhivala Memorial Lecture at our campus in Thanjavur, but special occasions like this need some minor adjustments, and we are very happy that we are able to conduct this 13th Nani Palkhivala Memorial Lecture in Chennai. But we continue the tradition of inviting the best to come and deliver the lecture. In fact, Mr. Gurumurthy will recall that it was you who delivered the first Nani Palkhivala Memorial Lecture at SASTRA in Tanjavur. And all of us know good things always repeat once in 12 years. So the 13th year, we have Mr. S.GURUMURTHY again delivering this lecture this evening. And all of you know that we are here to honor an outstanding jurist, a scholar jurist, who fought for a common man's cause, who protected the foundational structure of our Constitution and the fundamental rights that we have been talking today. And in P.C. Alexander's words, he was the best finance minister that India never had. And in his honor, we are also going to listen to Mr. Gurumurthy's speech on a topic which many believe that the cabinet committee itself of the Union government never had any idea about this policy decision. And to choose a speaker for this topic, and I ask you to search for anybody, you will never get anybody better than Mr. S. Gurumurthy to deliver this lecture on the topic demonetization, causes, concerns, and consequences. And to support this initiative, Mr. S. Mahalingam, another well-wisher of SASTRA University, I requested him to be the moderator, knowing pretty well how tempestuously mercurial this question and answer session that we also have after this lecture, which is going to be in a written format. But nevertheless, I wanted to fall back on the expertise of Mr. Mahalingam to calibrate and filter the questions and be the moderator as well. He also has some affiliation with the Nani Palkhivala initiative, being a board member of the Nani Palkhivala Arbitration Center. So, and I'm sure that he is the best man to also handle the question and answer session after his initial remarks. Now that the topic is clear, and for most of you who have come for an event that the university has organized in the last so many years, you know that I lay down the context for the event. But today I dare not do that in the immediate presence of two giants in the topic. But nevertheless, I thought I will just give a very brief backdrop, because the topic is kind of an intellectual cocktail of different subjects. Definitely politics is one. And you see how the political architecture of the country itself is getting changed because of this demonetization. And it has got economics written all over. Subject of politics, subject of economics written all over. There is the subject of geography as well, because the moment this policy was announced, the first reaction from few were, why is that money from Switzerland was not brought first? Why is Cayman Islands not in the priority list? Why not other countries other than India? Why India all of a sudden? So there were elements of geography as well. Elements of physics as well, because for every policy action you had a reaction as well. Okay? You had people sending fleets of hundreds of people buying tickets to different destinations, air tickets to a journey that they will never undertake in the next 1 month so that they can cancel and get back the money in white. So all this had an immediate reaction where there were restrictions on travel as well. Then also this ink on your forefingers. So every action there was a reaction. And there was a subject of chemistry also, very clearly. Because you saw the relationship between different stakeholders changing. The chemistry between stakeholders changed. Employer-employee relationship changed. House owner-housemaid relationship changed. Even the relationship between God and devotee also changed. So you had the subject of chemistry as well in this. You also had astrology. People going with their horoscope and asking whether this decision will be relooked. Is there a chance? Actually, they should have gone with Prime Minister Modi's horoscope, not their horoscope, to know whether this decision can be changed or not. So we had a lot of subjects. But one thing that binded all of us together is the subject of philosophy, which guided this right decision making. And one thing that was unanimously visible was the common man's acceptance, celebration, because he knew that this philosophical decision was with some good in the larger interest of the nation. And hence, the mood of celebration was tellingly visible, and that hope was very bright. And it is with that hope as the background, I welcome all of you for this 13th Nani Palkhivala Memorial Lecture. And I don't want to stretch my welcome address. I'm extremely happy to welcome all of you. And before I start the proceedings, I thought I will hand over a momentous memento on this occasion, which is the 1,000 rupee note, which no longer people will see. In our traditional Tanjavur painting, and there is one more. The moment I announced that we're going to do an event of this type, Mr. Keshav, my very good friend in the Hindu, he said he wanted to present a caricature of Mr. Gurumurthy and Mr. Mahalingam with a 1,000 rupee note as their background as well. So I should thank Mr. Keshav. So, ladies and gentlemen, the time has come, and now I leave it to Mr. Mahalingam to lay down the context. And after he lays down the context, Mr. Gurumurthy will deliver the 13th Nani Palkhivala Memorial Lecture. Thank you very much.
Dr. Subramaniam, Shri Gurumurthy, and friends, there are three reasons why I feel privileged to be here. It's an event organized by SASTRA, and I must thank Dr. Subramaniam for having me moderate this session. The second, of course, the speaker is Shri Gurumurthy, a great intellectual and a forceful communicator. Third is that it's a Palkhivala Memorial Lecture. I've known Mr. Palkhivala quite well because he was the chairman of Tata Consultancy Services almost from the inception, which was in 1968, until 1996, except for a break of 2 years between 1977 and 1979, when he went as ambassador to the United States of America. In fact, the earlier demonetization in India took place in 1978, and I was looking for the comments of Mr. Palkhivala, and I found that since he was the ambassador, he had not made any public statement. There is no denying that the demonetization announcement that was made on 8th of November, exactly 3 weeks back, was a momentous event. It took everyone by surprise. I should say shock for those who had unaccounted money in cash, and that too in denomination, which had demonetized. At one stroke, 85% of the value of currency in circulation were demonetized. Stated in another manner, out of a total of 16 lakh crores of rupees in circulation, 14 lakh crores represented through a denomination of 500 rupee and 1,000 rupee notes were no longer legal tenders. As I said, India had gone through 2 demonetizations. It was resorted to on 13th of January 1946. In fact, the earlier 2 demonetizations took place in January. This is the only one that took place in November. And that was resorted to on 13th of January 1946, when rupees 500, rupees 1,000, and rupees 10,000 denomination currencies were taken off circulation. Again, it was resorted to on 16th of January 1978, when currency notes of the denomination of 1,000, 5,000, and 10,000 were taken off circulation. The value of currency that taken off circulation in 1978 was less than 2% of the total value in circulation, whereas now it represents 85%. So I would like to lay the ground for this talk by flagging a few issues. First, of course, it's a very courageous move. This move has the stamp of the Prime Minister, who has shown extraordinary commitment in his drive not only to unearth black money, but also to close the tap for generation of unaccounted wealth. Only a strong Prime Minister with a majority in governance can take this kind of step. The Prime Minister, of course, led it also from the front. He clearly articulated the national purpose and imperatives. He made sure that citizens saw and appreciated the larger purpose. However, this action will not be judged today or tomorrow, but over the years by the results, such as unearthing black money, impact on terrorist funding, and giving a fillip to the economy. Demonetization has been tried before, as I said, but not at this scale. In fact, in 1978, Mr. H.M. Patel, who was the finance minister at that time, was asked why denominations of 100 rupee notes were not part of the demonetization drive. And he then said that it would be a major problem involving the entire country and the enormous population. And just imagine this was in 1978 when the population was much less. He said, I don't think it is an impossible operation, but it's an operation in which you have to think of a great many things, and you would need to have a huge volume of notes for exchange. As you know, at that time, this was driven by another Gujarati, Mr. Morarji Desai, who was equally committed. The 100 rupee notes at that time was very valuable, and they did not take up demonetization of that. Therefore, I would say that there is really no precedent to this courageous move. The second one is that logistically, the process of taking out money for circulation and substituting by new notes presents a huge challenge. India is a large country with a huge population. It is a cash-based economy, and 500 rupee notes have become common currency in circulation, even in rural areas. There are ATMs and banks in which old currencies have to be deposited and valid ones were to be taken out. The sheer task of replacing 14 lakh crores in value through notes, which are only now being brought into circulation, is a humongous one. We all know about this, but could this have been handled better is a question that we need to ask. The third is the impact on citizens. The Reserve Bank and the banking systems rightly focused on delivering the notes. There were restrictions on exchange and withdrawal, and the ability of the banking system, including ATMs and front offices, were put to test. I'm the chairman of a bank, and the effort put in by everyone in the bank that I know well was exemplary, and I have gone around to other banks, and that was also phenomenal. At the national level, where there were long queues and people had to skip work, there was no riot, which points to the efficacy of communication by the Prime Minister. But the question now is, will the citizens feel the discomfort, will they feel that the discomfort was well worth it, since if it results in removal of black money, and it also results in the higher growth of the economy in return. The fourth is the impact on the economy. This move has introduced crunch in the liquidity system, in the system. Since large number of transactions, including legitimate ones in India, take place through exchange of cash, there is a significant impact on the retail operations and industries such as fast-moving capital, consumer goods, and used cars. They have seen far lower sale. Fortunately, this event has taken place after Deepavali and much before Christmas. The impact on the economy, since it has come in the lean season, will be lower. Of course, as far as the economy is concerned, there will be benefits as removing unaccounted money from the system will reduce the deficit. A key question that we now need to ask is, will the government provide stimulus in the immediate future to take care of this drop in the economic activity? The fifth question that we need to ask is this event taking us to a digital economy or a cash-less economy? The Prime Minister has been advocating digital transactions. Paytm carried large advertisements in newspapers on the day after the scheme was announced. Many banks, including City Union Bank, have introduced e-wallets, which ensures that even small payments can be made digitally. This is a huge shift in the manner in which financial transactions are taking place. And in fact, this move towards a digital economy is a transformational one. Will we continue this emphasis on digital transactions after the cash exchanges take place in this current drive? The sixth question is, what will be the extent of black money unearthed? Government has come out with another version of income declaration scheme yesterday. Are we going to make use of the data that we have collected as a result of transactions that have taken place in the recent past to go after people with black money? And the seventh question is, what will be the future areas of attack by the government to eliminate the menace of black money and to control terrorist funding? Professor Larry Summers, the former Secretary of Treasury in the United States, writing with Natasha Serene on the demonetization by the government of India, in a blog in Washington Post, says, there are also questions of equity and efficiency. We strongly suspect that those with the largest amount of ill-gotten gain do not hold their wealth in cash, but instead have long since converted into foreign exchange, gold, Bitcoin, and some other store of value. So it is petty fortunes, not the hugest and most problematic ones, that are being targeted. We need to examine actions that will follow from the government to completely eliminate the menace. So these are the issues that I thought I will flag at this moment in time, and I will now leave it to Shri Gurumurthy for a detailed explanation of this event and for his own expectations. Thank you.
Before Mr. Gurumurthy begins his address, let me enlighten this audience that the hall is full capacity. In fact, we had to arrange for chairs, and it is now reached a little over 850, and many are watching. And it is a diverse audience. So we decided that it will be a double-barreled speech, the first part being in English, and then the question and answers, you can write the questions in English, but the answers will be in Tamil. That way, it will be bilingual to make sure that everybody relishes this evening's lecture. Over to Mr. Gurumurthy.
Mr. Mahalingam, my professional colleague, and Mr. Vaidya Subramaniam, who has been very kind to me along with his father in giving an academic personality to my professional career. Everywhere, whenever I used to go and talk about economics or sociology or philosophy or politics, everybody used to look at me as a chartered accountant. Chartered accountants thought I was a journalist, journalists thought I was a chartered accountant. Neither of them owned me, actually. So my personality conflict has been to some extent resolved by the IIT Bombay, where they invited me as the distinguished professor, and SASTRA University, which made me the research professor for legal anthropology. That is also in the name of a chair, in the chair situated in Tanjore in the name of Nani Palkhivala. You know, it's a complex subject. And economics itself is not a very easy subject, and economists have made it even more difficult subject. It is a complex economics. I will try and make it as simple as possible, because this has to be understood by a very normal person. Economics is a specialized subject, and it has been made into more specialized by mixing economics and mathematics and making it beyond the reach of the understanding of any ordinary person. So I will have to do a lot of gymnastics to see that this subject is made understandable to an ordinary mind. Ordinary means not ordinary in the intellectual sense of the term, but in the sense of unfamiliarity with economics. You see, when the New Indian Express phoned me and asked me how should they headline this, I said, you headline this as financial pokeran. Because in about half an hour, I could not get one term which could reflect the several dimensions, the seeds of which have been laid in this, about which I will try and explain as much as possible in the time that is available to me. But this has huge potentialities for changes, which no one single project can handle. And once you have such a complex project, it also means a big challenge in implementation and the kind of burden it will impose on the different players and actors and beneficiaries. And someone called it a carpet bombing. I think Madras Institute of Development Studies in there. There may be some resemblance to it for the time being. So it has a multi-dimensional impact, plus and minus. And so we have to look at the balance sheet of what is the net effect of this. There is nothing which is only positive. You know, any measure has its negative as well as positive dimensions. And we have to net it to find out where the benefit lies. You know, the principal target of this, which has not been, some of which has not been very properly highlighted in the media, is the fake money. Of course, black money aspects has been highlighted. Then the bribery money. And one important aspect which has not been gone into in depth, which I will try and explain as much as possible, is the macroeconomic rational background, which starts from 1999. It is not something that has happened today without a background. If you get at the background, then this entire audience will agree with me that if it had not been done now, it would have been undoable after 5 years. This is the conclusion I have reached as a result of my study. Actually, the former Prime Minister of India called it a monumental mismanagement. But I am going to prove it to you that the monumental mismanagement of the economy took place between 2004 and 2010, about which I have written, but I didn't have the occasion to connect it to a project like this to say how that monumental mismanagement is the background and the cause which led to this consequence. And I don't think there has been any profound analysis in the media, even by people who are trusted as economic analysts and experts, political leaders who claim to leading economic discourse and who are trusted. They have not gone into the background in which it has been led to by the course of events. So, the monumental mismanagement of the economy took place between 2004 and 2010. When I reveal to you, you will be shocked as to how, in what kind of ignorance this country has been functioning. And this monumental mismanagement of the economy has been praised as the golden period of the Indian economy. You can see the contrast. I am trying to create this interest in you as to how the public perception that what happened between 2004 and 2010 was an unbelievable growth in the economy of India. But what happened at that time, the facts underlying the drive of growth, how it has been potentially destructive of the future economic course itself, is what I am going to explain to you. But before that, what has been missed and what has been trivialized and what has been undermined is the issue of fake money. I am going to read out to you a very rare report which appeared in Economic Times. Life has come to stand still in India's counterfeit capital. You have heard of India's counterfeit capital? Anyone? Lift your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 people out of 850. While people in the rest of the country are queuing up outside banks for cash, there is an eerie calm in Kaliachak in Malda district in West Bengal, from where the biggest opposition to demonetization has come. Following the demonetization of 500 rupees and 1000 rupee notes, life has come to a virtual standstill in India's counterfeit capital. And about that, foreign fake currency notes enters India through 4 routes. While Jammu and Kashmir and Punjab routes are now under control due to increased vigil, Kalia Chak in West Bengal via Nepal and Bangladesh border is the most preferred route. Kalia Chak is fertile area for a crime that pays. With the demonetization, this foreign currency, fake currency racketeers have faced a massive setback. So and so, a notorious racketeer, I don't want to mention the name because that will indicate something else, was arrested on Saturday while trying to move his consignment. About 80% of the fake notes moves in different corners of the country originate from Malda. Apart from the geographical location and easy access, there are other facilities available, including political protection. You know, this is Malda constituency is one constituency in which from 1961 to till now, only the Congress party has won, except in 2 elections, 1971 and 77, in which the Marxists won. You know, in Kaliachak and in Malda, the currency in circulation is not Indian currency. It is the fake currency. It is normally accepted for transactions. Nobody would say, oh no, he would not accept it. You know what is the effect of it? Mr. Chidambaram said, fake currency is just 400 crores out of 17 lakh crores. It's just nothing. It's small. I am not going into whether it is 400 crores or, as the intelligence agencies claim, 5,000 to 6,000 crores. It really doesn't matter. I am going to tell you what is the consequence of this 400 crores. You know, you all know what happened in 26/11 in Bombay. 164 people died, 300 people were maimed, and a total damage of $120 billion occurred to India, according to the Asian Institute of Economics. So, Asian Economic Institute study says $120 billion is the damage to India. 164 people died, 300 people maimed. You know what was the cost of operation to the terrorists? 25 lakhs. This study was done by, in the book called The Siege by Adrian Levy and Kathy Scott. They said they spent only 25 lakhs to inflict a damage of $120 billion and taking 164 lives out and maiming 300 people. The former finance minister, who was also the former home minister, says it's after all 400 crores. Can you understand the damaging potentiality of this 400 crores? Or it may be 6,000 crores. In one go, this has been completely sterilized, finished. You know, the kind of damage that it could cause is visible in what happened in Jammu and Kashmir immediately after demonetization. The terrorists warned the people, never will you go and exchange your notes. On that day, stopped all stone throwings on our army people. Everybody stood in queue to collect the money. People attended examinations. Jammu and Kashmir is peaceful. No amount of military action could have ensured this. Just turning off the pipe of fake currency was able to ensure that this happened. How many newspapers highlighted it? How many editorials were there where any opposition party said, yes, there is a good effect on this? No. Because the discourse is not national. The discourse is not objective. It is political. I am not saying that politics should be ruled out. But if there are certain elements which are good, any responsible political party, an intellectual, a newspaper, a leader who claims to speak on behalf of any number of people must acknowledge, yes, this is good. But in India, it doesn't happen. Something is totally bad or something is totally good. That is why we need intellectualism in India, which is slowly disappearing. In fact, what are the problems in this? What kind of problems it can cause to certain sections who have nothing to do with what is happening. I am going to reveal to you because it's one of my areas of study. So basically, the fake currency which has been destabilizing not only the economy of India but also the security of India has been finished at one go. Not only that, the Naxalites use not fake money but our own money. They collect these weekly collections from corporates and traders and people, and they hide it in different forest areas because they have to keep it as cash. They cannot open a bank account. An estimated 5,000 to 6,000 crores of this money is over. This 5,000, 6,000 crores is nothing as sums, as arithmetics. But they can kill hundreds of people, thousands of people, completely destroy the development of 3-4 districts. It is a very major thrust of this. In fact, if demonetization is worth it for any particular reason, it is this. But this is not how the discourse has gone on. So basically, Pakistan has 150% printing capacity for its note printing press. You know why? They print our notes. In fact, there was a joke that Sheriff rang up Mr. Modi and said that I am told that you are suffering because of lack of printing capacity. We have excess printing capacity, we can help you. You can understand that a neighbor who wants to tear India apart has been pumping fake notes into India, demolishing India, killing India, maiming India, inflicting millions and billions of dollars on the Indian economy. Not one newspaper has written an editorial on this. I am only pointing out how skewed, how distorted, how perverted, how negative the discourse is. Now, why this happened, I have to give you a background. You know, cash is necessary to drive an economy. Cash is the lifeblood of economics, transactions, trade, capital or revenue, whatever. But something has been happening right in front of the eyes of the Reserve Bank, on the radar, on the Finance Ministry, on the observers of all economic developments, and nobody took notice of it. That is, every country requires certain amount of cash to handle a certain amount of economic activity. What is the ratio of cash to GDP? Many countries have said it is 8%. America says it is about 7.5%, 8%. But in India in 1999, we had 9.4% cash as a percentage of GDP. And then instead of coming down, it kept on going up. And now it is 12% of the GDP. Actually, in 1999, the banking habits were low. There was no credit card or debit card. There was no digital payment. And there was no bank account. Now, almost 27, 28 crore people, ordinary people have bank accounts. With all this, actually there should be decline in the actual cash in proportion to GDP. Actually, there is a rise. And this rise is not ordinary rise. I am going to tell you how the high denomination currency has been rising. See, in the year 2004, 34% of the total currency consisted of these 500 rupee and 1000 rupee notes, 34%. It has risen to 87% now. And the Reserve Bank of India study, which is a very important factor in the demonetization, said 2/3 of the 1000 rupee notes which goes out of the bank never comes to the bank back. And 1/3 of the 500 rupee notes which goes out of circulation doesn't come back to the bank, which means money, instead of being a flow, has become store value. And it is not store value just like that. And what kind of damage this kind of explosion of cash has caused to the economy, and how it was happening before the very eyes of a prime minister trusted for his knowledge on economics, I am going to tell you now. You know, between 1999 and 2004, which I call as the golden era of Indian economy, the GDP growth was an average of 5.5%. You know the number of jobs created in that period? 60 million jobs in 5 years. 60 million jobs in 5 years is a record. It never happened earlier. I don't know when it is going to happen. Now, another great thing happened at that time. Inflation rate in all the 5 years averaged only 4.6%. Interest rates were lower because of that. And the most important thing, India's current account showed surplus for 3 consecutive years. You know, from 1950 till 2016, only in 5 years, Indian economy has shown current account surplus. Once in 1976-77, then 77-78. It was the impact of emergency. Smuggling stopped, people were afraid. Afterwards, it again got back to deficit. Next surplus was in the year 2001-2, 3.4 billion. 2002-3, 6.3 billion. Then 2003-4, 14 billion. So we had a net surplus of this in these 5 years of $17 billion. Then the world began noticing India. A rising India, inflation low, current account surplus without any huge foreign investment. Then the world began seeing in India as an entrepreneur-led, domestic demand-led, domestic investment-led economy. This is a model for the world. This is how the world began looking at India. BRICS study showed that this is an example how a nation can develop without being dependent on other countries for capital or for exports. This was the situation which was inherited in the year 2004. Mr. Chidambaram, who became the finance minister, eulogized how we are in such a comfortable position on the external front, which never happened in the history of India. And see what happens after 2004. After 2004, the Indian economy zoomed. The average growth between 2004-5 and 2009-10 in 6 years is 8.4%. Everybody said India is a superpower. Stock markets have gone up to 26,000. Everybody said India has become a superpower. Economic Times, Business Standard, everybody began writing. You know how many jobs were created in this period? Can anybody make a guess? 27 lakhs, 2.7 million only. 60 million jobs in 5 years. Just 2.7 million jobs in the next 6 years. And this was celebrated as the growth of India. Current account deficit in this period against the current account surplus, $101 billion in 6 years. Why it happened? It happened because of a huge surge of unmonitored cash in the economy, which propelled the gold prices. Gold prices rose up by 316 times. People will say gold prices rise up because of international factors. No. India is importer of 1/3 of the world's gold supply. If India stops 1/2 of the consumption, then the world gold prices will halve. It will not rise. India is the driver of world gold prices. Then property prices. I'm going to read out to you how what happened to the property prices. All of us experience it. But we don't have a collective picture of what happens to the property prices and why it happens. I will tell you that in Chennai, what was the property price between 1999 and 2004, when the economy was in a different situation. The rise in this period was just 40% in 5 years, and 33% in 5 years. The rise of GDP was 40%. Actually, the rise in the property prices was lower than the rise of the GDP, which means that inflationary control was working on even property prices. Subsequently, the property prices zoomed. In 7 years, the property prices went up in 7 places by 4 times. In some places, 100% in just 2 years. 300% in 4 years. I don't want to burden you with all statistics. All that I am saying is the property prices zoomed, gold prices zoomed, and in this 6-year period, the stock market went up by 4 times. You know the reason for all this? The reason for all this is the liquid cash that was circulating, including stock market, which were funded outside by Hawala taking Indian money out and bringing it as what is known as the participatory notes. Many chartered accountants here will understand what I am saying. These participatory notes pushed up the stock market, cash pushed up gold, cash pushed up land. You know, this is known as asset inflation. Asset inflation leads to wealth effect. This wealth effect is what is reflected in the high growth of GDP. This has nothing to do with the people. This has nothing to do with economic activities which will benefit the people less than the higher 10 or 15% of the population, and this is known as the Piketty effect. One Piketty wrote a book a couple of years back, how the entire Western economy is being driven by what is known as asset price inflation, transforming it to wealth, and that transforming into GDP growth, which has nothing to do with the ordinary people. And what was happening legally outside was happening illegally through the huge amount of cash surge in the Indian economy. This was being watched by the Prime Minister, who was one of the best minds, as they say in economics. About the former finance minister, who is now saying this all, what has happened is wrong. It was happening right in front of them. Because of that, the GDP rose. Jobs did not rise. Standard of living of people came down. Rural poverty rose. And you had to go for what is known as the Mahatma Gandhi Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. Ultimately, this became a burden on the government. The government had to give handout to the people for survival. This did not happen in the first 5 years between 1999 and 2004, because the quality of economic development took care of the ordinary people and provided 60 million jobs for them. Till now, we have not recovered from the effect of what is known as the wealth effect driven growth model. It is dogging the country even today. Out of 16.5 lakh crores, 14.5 lakh crores is 500 rupee and 1000 rupee notes. 5 years back, this could have been handled more comfortably. Mr. Mahalingam asked me a question. Could it not have been handled more comfortably? It could have been handled 5 years back, 6 years back. Another 5 years back, this will be completely unhandleable. The 17 lakh crores would have become 30 lakh crores. It would have been beyond the capacity of any particular politician even to touch this subject. This would have led to a huge meltdown like what happened in America in the year 2008. And it would have been an external meltdown like what happened in 1991. And it would have been an internal meltdown in a country like India. If that happens, there would be nothing short of anarchy. I have not seen any economist, any political analyst, not even from the government side, giving the background which drove the economy to this level. It is not that people were talking that this kind of cash rise, particularly the high denominational cash rise, is going to be harmful to the country. Everyone was knowing it, but no one had the guts to talk about it. No one had the guts to act on it. Only one man had the guts. Basically, this whole issue of cash, gold, land and stocks, this was producing health effect and making some 10-15% of the population earn more income, depriving others of their employment and driving them to the care of the government has been the economic model which has been built in the last 1 decade. And this also was supplemented by a huge surge of imports. In fact, I had written 4 articles and also delivered a lecture on a decade of economic destruction. Many people think that India was importing more oil and less of other goods. You know, in 10 years between 2004 to 2014, the highest import was not oil, it was capital goods. The capital goods import exceeded the import of oil, and that completely destroyed the local capital. There was a reduction in the capital goods production, actual reduction between 2000 and 2012. And zero-rated import duties were given for power projects, for steel projects. And we ran a trade deficit of $175 billion. With who? China. It equals 3 years of their defense budget. And we gave zero-rated import duty. You know why? Because we were getting so much money in foreign exchange through dollar. The government did not know how to handle it. Dr. Y.V. Reddy suggested, stop this, put a tax on it. It should not come into India. This kind of hot money is dangerous for the country. But we kept on inviting this dollar. And we did not know what to do with it, because when the dollar comes, the government has to buy the dollar, give the money to the people. Such a huge supply of money would have meant the inflation would be 15 to 20%. So the only way the government could do was take the money in the stock market and allow capital goods to be imported against it. And they thought that this kind of free flow of money was going to continue, but that was hot money. It was not created by savings. It was created by banks. It was created by derivatives. It was funny money. And in 2008, when the meltdown occurred, this stopped. With the result, we ended up with huge capital goods import. We have installed machineries which we are not using even today. Our steel capacity has begun to be used only now because we have put anti-dumping duty on import of steel from China. That also required political will. It could have been done 5 years back. The Prime Minister won't do it because he could not stand up against China. China is creating all these problems. We will not do this. Then they will not allow a terrorist action to be taken against a terrorist. It is all nothing but saying you cannot impose anti-dumping duty on us. This is geopolitics. You have got to tackle this. You have got to take on the mighty. For that, you have to be mighty. You cannot bend and crawl and make the country strong. It's impossible. If the steel industry is looking up for the last 8 months, it is only because of the anti-dumping duty. Steel industry has an NPA of more than 2 lakh crores. That 2 lakh crores the NPA had turned into good debt in the last 6 months, 8 months. Did any newspaper write about it? This is handling economics through geopolitics. So, a multi-dimensional effort is needed, and one such effort is to how to handle the excess cash over and above the needs of the ordinary economic activities of ordinary people, and that requires a suspension. And that suspension is demonetization. Without breaking the hold of asset inflation and wealth effectless, jobless growth, there is no real growth possible. You have to break it, because we have got used to it. It has become some kind of, தமிழில் சொல்ல போனால் தேனில் விழுந்த ஈ மாதிரி. அதுலேருந்து வெளியில் வர பிடிக்கவும் பிடிக்காது, அதில் இருக்கவும் முடியாது. That is how we have got into an economic mess from which to come out is also difficult unless you take such a strong decision as has been taken now. It's a very important point that the background for this has to start from an analysis of the movement of the Indian economy from 1999, how it took a completely different elitist turn based on the experience of countries like America. And because of that, we destabilized our own economy. There are many industrialists sitting here. How much damage has been done by allowing import of sugar, not allowing export of sugar? Now the sugar industry is becoming normal. Why? Because this government is acting. All these steps have been already taken. It is not that these steps have not been taken, but this is not adequate, because if you have to make a U-turn, you have got to go to the source of money. Many people say, after all, black money is not cash. It is in the form of property, it is in the form of gold, it is in the form of stocks. That's agreed. But let us assume now, what is the property issue now? Now I was talking to one of the officials of CREDAI the other day, because there was a news item I saw in the Indian Express in the north. The construction industry has come to a grinding halt. There is a large scale layoff in Tamil Nadu. Then I rang up my friend, he is sitting here, Mr. Suresh. I said, Mr. Suresh, tell me, what is this? He said, sir, nothing like that has happened. He said, there are two different paradigms in the construction industry. Those who are doing affordable housing till up to 30 or 35 lakhs maximum, the flat value, and those who are doing 75, 80 lakhs, 100 lakhs or 200 lakhs. It is the latter category who have been hurt, because they are targeting the black money section, who will buy the property at 50% by check and 50% by cash. Sir, we are selling only for cash and we are 60% of the operation. We are extremely happy with it, because this affordability is going to increase, because the land values are going to be down at least by 30%. The black money which used to support the high-rise value of land is not there. It's not going to be there for the next 3-4 years at least. If the land values come, in Mylapore there are people who live, they cannot hope to buy a property in Mylapore today. The affordability which will come because of withdrawing the cash support for cash. You see, black money is different from black cash. Black money is in the form of property, gold, stocks. But black cash is different. But this black cash only drives up and builds black wealth or black money. Unless you withdraw the support of the black cash, you will not be able to bring down the wealth effect. It is called contraction in the economy. It will also affect the other segments which are operating on cash, like the traders, with the small-scale industrialists, with artisans. This is going to hit them also. How the government is going to manage it is quite a different thing. It has to do it. But anyone who took the decision knows that this is going to happen. It is not that anyone took this decision ignorantly. That this is going to happen, everyone knew. But the way this country has supported this measure. At any given time, at least 2 crore people were standing in queue in different parts of the country. The total number of people who would have stood in the queue to exchange money or to deposit money is estimated at least 20 crores. 20 crore people stood in queue. And no one had any complaint. The opposition was complaining in Parliament. But they were all standing and collecting money. In fact, I remember a tweet sent by one person. He said, I stood in the queue for 4 hours. And it was a new experience for me. I have not stood in the queue. But everybody was saying, though we are undergoing problem, it's a good thing that has happened to the country. Have you ever seen people who are made to stand in the queue for 5 hours, 6 hours, still saying that this is something good for the country? That is good for the country has an appeal to the people. And Sanjay Baru, who was the press advisor to Mr. Manmohan Singh, he retweeted that tweet and said, my experience is also like this. He said, I was taking an auto and I was getting down and I told the auto driver, I don't have 50 rupees the change to give you. He said, sir, don't worry, my 50 rupees, let it go, but what is happening is something good for the country. That these people are standing in queue is the problem for politicians. So somebody told me they have used to standing in queue, whether it is cinema, whether it is ration, whether it is anything. And the standing in queue is a very normal experience of the Indian, except those who belong to the middle class and upper middle class. For them, it is a new experience. But the problem is actually people who had huge amount of bribery, whether it is the politician, whether the income tax officials, whether it is the civil servants, whether it is the judiciary. These are the people affected. In fact, my security fellow is here. I always talk to him because he comes from a village. I said, what is happening, sir? எங்கள் ஊரில் ஒன்றும் பெரிய பிரச்சனைலாம் இல்லைங்க, இந்த கொஞ்சம் நிறைய பணம் வச்சுட்டு இருக்கோம் தான் சார் கஷ்டப்படுறாங்க. So how to change that money is their problem. The ordinary man is settling down. I am not saying he is comfortable, he is happy. He is undergoing tension, problems, difficulties, but he understands. I tell you that a message has been delivered to crores and crores of people that the trouble they are undergoing is good because it is for the good of the country, is something which is transforming India. This requires a sociological study. It requires a study as to how people, when right appeal is made, they are willing to stand by what is good by the government. Why no newspaper is writing about it? Why no intellectual is talking about it? Why there is no public discourse on this? These are all questions in my mind. It is not that what has happened is a runaway good. Yes, there are problems. We are going to face problems for the next 3 to 6 months. In terms of putting liquidity into the system, in terms of reaching the right kind of denominations of currency to the people. You know how this country has managed. That also requires a study. In fact, I was talking to Haryana, the Mandi people, where all the agriculturists come and give their products. One of the largest mandis, Haryana, Punjab, Western Uttar Pradesh, this constitutes almost 60% of the agricultural surplus of India, which is distributed all over the country. You know, overnight they change it over to credit system. You know why? We are a relation-based society. We know each other. And they said, okay, we will collect the money in January. The matter is over. The vegetable wala who was coming to our house, he said, sir, we will collect the money day after tomorrow. Next week. This relation-based society alone would have absorbed this shock. If it were a contract-based society, totally driven by individualism, no one will know. Let us assume India's retail market had been taken over by Walmart. I don't think this measure would have been ever possible. It is Coimbatore which made it possible. We must understand the sociology behind economics, the culture behind economics. There is an alignment between culture and economics in India. And in fact, when somebody said it in the year 1994, in the book called The Trust, Francis Fukuyama wrote, in my first book, I missed out something. There is a 20% missing element in economics, and that is culture. And somebody wrote, this man is now causing the end of economics because he sees culture in economics. This is the view outside. If Lord Summers writes about India, he is completely illiterate. And we quote him. He doesn't know how mandis operate. He doesn't know how Coimbatore operates. We operate on an entirely different grammar. And I tell you, in the year 1997, there was a huge assault on the non-banking finance companies by Mr. Chidambaram. At the time, all the non-banking finance companies consulted me, and Mr. Tyagarajan is here. I told Mr. Tyagarajan that this is a war which you have to defend the non-banking finance companies. No one company can escape. All the companies will have to rebrand the non-banking finance business itself. And it happened, I said, any government which is sensible will understand India will have a varied, rainbow like a financial intermediation. It cannot be done only by banks or stock market. It will have many, many things. And today, non-banking financial companies are going to be the only hope and delivery mechanism to reach credit to these segments which the bank can never do. That is why this government realized rightly, whether they are not able to implement it because of too many objections from the Reserve Bank of India. The Mudra project, had it been allowed to take off in the year 2015, the trouble which the ordinary businessman is undergoing, he would not have to undergo, because it is the Reserve Bank which stopped it. Mudra should have preceded demonetization. Unfortunately, now Mudra is the only hope for the government to deliver credit to these people. And so the government is thinking along the right lines, but unfortunately it cannot get the cooperation of everybody, particularly the Reserve Bank of India, which has become so egoistic and probably arrogant in the last couple of years, that the government could not do anything. And you are to face the electorate, you are to face politics, you are to face the people, you are to control the law and order, but I will control the monetary policy. Nowhere in the world this kind of division occurred, and that was being celebrated by the media. So the economy is in for a contraction today. There will be contraction in gold market, there will be contraction in real estate market, there will be contraction in stock market. All this is seen already. Unless a huge amount of foreign money comes into the stock market is likely to settle down at something like 21,000. Unless it is supported by huge influx of money from abroad. So what is the effect of this, the consequences? I will talk about the positives and then the negatives. The positive is cash in bank versus cash in hand. Many people think that 10 lakhs cash which is in the hands of the people is equal to 10 lakhs cash with the banking system. The banking system is very unique in its function. It is known as the fractional reserve system. If the bank gets 10 lakhs, in 5 years it can multiply it into 50 lakhs or 60 lakhs. You know what is the amount of bank deposits we have today? 96 lakh crores. What is the amount of cash in circulation? 16 lakh crores. Out of which, what is in the banking system is only 250,000 rupees. That is 250,000 rupees. That's all. That is a quarter of a lakh of crores. But that has multiplied into 96 lakh crores because the bank is able to create money. 97% of the money is created which we are using is through the banking system. So this 10 lakh crores getting into the banking system becoming 40 to 50 lakh crores is the only way by which bank can lend money to small and medium industries. Otherwise the bank will never be able to lend money. The banks always say we don't have the money. It is right, they don't have the money. And what does the ordinary small and medium industries do? There are 58 million non-farming units in India which provide 128 million employment, in which 12 lakh crores is employed, 90% of which is supplied by the ordinary moneylender at 60%, 90%, 120% interest. But for Sundaram Finance and institutions like Shri, the ordinary transport operator will be paying 48% interest and 60% interest. Manmohan Singh realized it in the year 1993. When he set apart 300 crores of rupees for the revival of the transport sector, the bank cannot lend money directly. He asked these people to lend money because they know how to lend money to the risky areas and recover that money. And the transport revolution that took place in 1990s, early 1990s, was because of the alignment between the non-banking finance companies and banking companies. That has to be repeated to other sectors. Today, it is the biggest challenge of the government that the banks will be able to create money. There will be a fall in interest rate, and a fall in interest rate without fall in inflation rate will hit the middle class, and so the interest rates will fall like it happened in 2003, 2004, when the 3-year deposit commanded just 5% interest because the inflation was 3%. Now we are having 8% interest on fixed deposit, but we are having 5 to 6% inflation. Inflation will go, once this high money is targeted. I am going to read out to you what is going to happen to these malls. It is the Nadar shop won't be affected. Don't bother about it. Who is going to be affected? I am going to read out to you. A very rich man sent me a message. And I am going to read out that message. It is amazing how a sense of contentment has settled in suddenly. My shopaholic mind has suddenly turned to no shopping mode. Clothes and shoes seem unimportant, but saving legal tenders for basic needs take the forefront. The quiet seems to be peaceful. Yes, as a country we are rebooting. This is not an ordinary man. Somebody who will be spending 5-6 lakhs in a shopping mall every weekend because that is their only hobby of the family. I have seen people spending 50 lakhs. Just for a weekend they will go and buy a senseless painting and bring it. You have to explain half an hour as to what this painting means. And then call a big dinner of 500 people to spend another 10 lakhs to show this is what cash money was doing. Don't think it was transacting vegetables. Don't think it was transacting rice. Don't think it was transacting ordinary clothes. You know, there was a study which was done in England, this kind of senseless money, what it is doing. In England, a study was conducted. The unused clothes in the wardrobe of English people is 32 billion pounds. This equals 4 years of the GDP rise. Their GDP rise annually is $8 billion, 8 billion pounds. This 32 billion is unused. They are not going to use it. And they say mostly they will have to throw it. 50% of the American food is never consumed. It's just thrown. You know, this kind of consumption is possible when money becomes cheap. When money is so easily available. So, what Shantimal, sorry, I don't want to mention the man's name. Yes, as a country we are rebooting and I am enjoying being part of this change. Recently, when my dear friend was here, we spent time together relaxing. With money there, we always go and loiter in markets, buying things which you don't even most of the times need. Somehow my psyche is off, hoarding suddenly. Human level evolvement, much needed, has been done in one go. Otherwise, you are not going to do it. You have not seen that consumption. I have seen that consumption with my eyes. You can't imagine that kind of consumption which is taking place because cash is available. Now let them issue check. At least this section will have to do it. Believe me, stay positive and you will feel highly charged. Stay away from negativity as far as possible and help as many people as possible. This is the message he sent me on the 14th of November. There is a change, lifestyle change which will occur. This change would have been impossible if the old regime had been allowed to go and intensify and if the cash circulation had gone up to 30 lakh rupees. No government could have done it without probably a martial law. Undoable. Next is elimination of excess cash per bribes and black wealth. Somebody told me there were 24 bags of currency which was left unattended in Gurgaon. Gurgaon is the place for that because there the property value has gone up by 20 times in 8 years. It is only cash. Gurgaon probably accounts for about 5 to 6% of India's illicit cash. So people left it and ran away. There are people burning cash. Are we not happy about it? Because the kind of wealth that they have built out of filth has to end like this. Once cash is recorded and ownership is known, it is traceable. Let us assume the entire 14.5 lakh crore comes. May not be. Maybe 10 lakh crores comes or 11 lakh crores comes. It is a matter of speculation as to how much will come into the banking system and how much it vanish. Let us assume everything comes into the banking system. Everything is recorded. There is no black cash thereafter. You can trace it. You can track it. And 75-80% of the tracking will succeed. So, in one go, the cash economy is being organized. there will be a huge moderation in prices. This is what is called contracting. Now let us take up the cement prices. One of my friends who is sitting here, he told me how the cement prices have been kept higher. Because they have reduced production. Because there is profit available and people are willing to pay in black to get cement. Now there is no black. So you have got to increase the production to bring down the prices so as to make profit. Otherwise you will not make profit. This is how price reduction will take place when the economy goes for contraction. Never in the history of economics. A contraction like this has been deliberately planned. Contraction always occurs beyond the capacity of market to handle, government to handle, or when there is huge inflation like what happened in Germany when they demonetized the notes, when the running rate of inflation was 2 million percentage points. But this kind of assault on black money, corruption, terror money is unheard of in economics. That's why many economists cannot fathom this. Why this? Because they always allow the status quo to continue till the crisis comes. And they say, crisis is inevitable. You ask any economist, he say, crisis is correction. Yeah, you can't correct ahead of the crisis. You can't prevent a crisis. Any economist, market economist, you ask, crisis is bound to come. Crisis is correction. And Narendra Modi preponed the crisis to handle it. Because when the crisis comes, it is unhandleable. Like what happened in 1991, what happened in 2008. In those crises, people were completely flabbergasted how to handle it. But now at least you are planning to handle. The government can handle. What kind of work had to be done, you are saying? It could have been done more comfortably. The decision was made known to most people only 2 days ahead. To 125 lakh centers, you had to transfer cash in 2 days. Many of these places were Naxal-affected areas. Nobody should know cash is going. Still cash has to go. And 5 days, cash had to go to 300,000 centers. Massive operation. That a government could do this. And in all stealthily. It's an amazing thing. In fact, somebody, I think, from the government should make a statement in Parliament how the logistics was done. And it had to go to places like, how beautifully it was managed in Assam, where all the estate laborers are paid in cash. The chief minister and the collector organized the whole thing. The collector sat and distributed the wages. No complaint. It depends upon how the system cooperated. Where in West Bengal, the system did not cooperate. In fact, I was told on authority that the chief minister refused to provide police protection for banking operations. See the consequence there. So it is political. It is not handling the issue as something which for the people you are handling. No. So this consumption remained you. And land prices. When the land prices come down by 30%, there will be a natural correction because when cash support for black money properties are withdrawn, when the prices come down, the housing industry actually expects a growth of about 20 to 25% 6 months from now. That a person can get, housing is one of the important economic activity which spawns too many activities, cement production, steel production, labor. Then gold prices will moderate at the global level. Because if Indians can't support the gold holdings with cash, there will be fall in gold prices in India and that will result in fall in gold prices in the world because India is buyer of 1/3 of world's gold production. Terror fund elimination is complete in this. A point which has not been properly brought out. Because it takes 7 years for the currency which you introduce now to be faked. By that time, you would be changing the currency faster because we have now learnt. And we are, till 4 years back, the paper supplier, the ink supplier, the printing machinery supplier of currency in India and Pakistan was the same party. This should have been changed in 2005. It was not changed. It kept on till about 1 year ago. It was due to Mr. Pranab Mukherjee, this change occurred. Otherwise, it would not have occurred. Imagine you and Cash Pakistan buy from the same party. And Pakistan has 150% of the printing capacity of your currency. Then flight of capital through Hawala. You know, all these Hawala transactions which take place. I don't know whether you've gone to Singapore. They will give you, you have to deposit cash, Indian rupee there, and they will give you any foreign exchange. And that rupee will be brought back to India, and that is how the smuggling, all these activities were being supported. They are completely flabbergasted today. The Hawala operators in Singapore, in Dubai, are having maybe several hundreds of thousands of crores, maybe several thousands of crores, which they do not know what to do. Because they have to bring back here and deposit it, which is just not possible. The most important challenge which the Narendra Modi government will be facing is how to finance the small and medium enterprises, a large part of which was being funded in cash. And this, I think, unless they ramp up in fact, whether there is any law or not, unless the Mudra system is followed, unless the non-banking financial institutions are co-opted, unless you create a 50 to 100,000 delivery points for credit to these people, there will be a huge problem for this government. I think the government is very well aware of it. I hope in the next 1 month or so, they take this action. A low interest and low inflation regime is very necessary for India because corporates are able to access foreign capital at foreign rates of interest through equity, foreign external commercial borrowing. It is the ordinary people, small-scale industries, medium industries, which have to pay the Indian rate of interest. For the first time, they are seeing the hope of a lower interest regime. There has been an attempt to soft-land this. 2.5 lakhs per head, we will not make inquiries, is a very, very important measure because in every house, the women have saved without the knowledge of the husband. They have all been exposed now. In fact, an income tax officer, a very honest officer, told me in Delhi, "Sir, when my wife was always harassing me, you are not giving enough money." After 8th November, she came and told me, "I have some money, what to do with it?" And she said it was almost 2 lakhs. He was shocked. 2 lakhs rupees, how did you manage? Otherwise, you are not giving money. I have to save something for the children. Our women are the backbone of Indian savings. In fact, in America, in the year 2001, I delivered a lecture, Indian economy is feminine in character. Low consumption, high savings, moderate, and that was all being disturbed by this black money. But still, the women were preserving the moderation in Indian economic system. And their money should not be affected. So it's a very important measure of announcement. 2.5 lakhs the government will not touch. And that is the Prime Minister's assurance. And the new disclosure scheme, I welcome it for this reason. This black cash has to be flushed out completely. Then only black money can be curbed. There is a difference between black cash and black money. We are confused between the two. To hit at black money, you have got to eliminate black cash. So, to flush it out, and this particular action is very important, short-term cost of this is an unbearable discomfort for the common man, which I hope will continue for the next 45 days. For the normal denomination to come, it may take even more, but much of the inconvenience will be removed by about the 15th of January. This is what I understand. And illiquidity will dog the economy. You got to helicopter drop the money in the Indian way. That is why I said the banks will have to search how to lend through the informal lending mechanism to the people. There will be a substantial reduction in high money-powered consumption, which will affect these big malls. And I am not bothered about if malls are affected. So long as Nadar shop is affected, I am not bothered. Then there will be slower growth, but the slower growth is inevitable because the growth figures that you have posted are not real growth. They are just wealth effect. That will come down. Of course, there will be a small 6-month fall in real growth also. But that correction is inevitable because that is because of illiquidity. We will not be able to deliver credit so easily, and so this illiquidity will affect the challenge of MSM pending. I told you. Now I am going to come to the balance sheet. Could have been done better. This is what you say. I said this could have been done better only 5 years back. As I said, it could not have been done better today. If you had extended the consultation, many of the points which you are now getting at you would have got before the implementation, but that would have defeated the very object for which it is being done, because everybody tells another person. So this whole operation was done by about 4 or 5 people till the 7th. Afterwards only got extended, of course, on all kinds of monitoring that the information will not go out. Terror funding and fake and genuine notes has been hit very hard. So it's going to qualitatively improve the law and order situation and the confidence in this government. And economic activity in those areas, particularly in Naxal-affected areas where economic activities have come to a standstill because of the inability to lay roads, electricity connections, all these things will pick up because it's not possible. Bribery will come down. I tell you, the deals which are being talked about in politics, 100 crores, 50 crores, nobody can demand or give. And I'm told the Madras Secretariat is virtually empty. I don't know whether you have gone and seen it. Hawala, the asset inflation will receive a serious setback in the next 5 to 6 years. If it had not been done, the situation would have gone unmanageable. A 1991-like situation with external and internal crisis would have developed, which would have been impossible to handle. I must again mention, it's a great show of national patience by the last man in India. So who would you credit for the demonetization? Not the government, not the Prime Minister. It is the ordinary man. Who should be credited for the success of it? You could have decided. But I bore all the problems and I am still bearing. And I am bearing because I feel it is for the good of the country. It has never happened in the history of India except in war times. Of course, cricket victories. We are a relation-based society. We have to preserve it. Our milk vendor, our vegetable vendor, our neighbor, our flower supplier, everybody is related to us. And that is why this economy is going. Have you ever seen one sentence by any economist on this? Because this is anti-economics. To destroy all these relationships is to produce market economics. We should produce a market society, to produce a market economics. Completely destroy the relationship between parents and children, husband and wife, and create 55% of divorce in the first marriage, 67% of divorce in the second marriage, 74% of divorce in the third marriage. Then it becomes a market economics. We are not like that. As I told, that people turned into credit mode. Otherwise, the whole economy would have come to a grinding halt. Basically, this economic discourse in India is so skewed, is so far and against. It has lost all bearings of a reasoned and fair discourse. And that is why the confusion in the mind of the people that this is something which is for the good of the country has been recognized by the ordinary man, but it has not been recognized by the commentators, by the editors, by the intellectuals, by the economists. And of course, I am not going to talk about leaders of opposition because they have their own politics. And I am extremely happy for an hour you all listened to me with patience. It's a big subject. It could not be communicated more understandably in an oral presentation. I am going to write about 4 or 5 articles on this. If you want to know more about the essentials of this and how we will come out of this situation, maybe those articles will be helpful. Thank you very much.
Please stay back, okay? We have the 10,000 wala yet to burst, so please stay back. We have the set of questions ready. One thing that's happened is after this demonetization, the number of people who think they are also economists also started growing. So if we give a mic to any of you, you will give a lecture. In fact, there is one question which is in the form of a question paper. 10 questions are there. So we have filtered, and over to Mr. Mahalingam for the questions.
I was wondering initially, after 3 weeks, what is that to talk about demonetization? But the manner in which it has been explained and the critical issues that have surfaced has been really phenomenal. So there are, as Dr. Vaidhyasubramanian said, there have been a number of questions. We have had trouble in terms of filtering it. And in fact, all the questions are extremely good. But I've just taken a few so that we can examine different areas. The first question is, let me read that. With reference to a statement in your speech, 2/3 of 1,000s do not come back and 1/3 of 500 rupee notes do not come back to RBI. Why has 2,000 rupee denomination now been introduced? It would only help in hoarding.
இந்த 1000-500 ரூபா நோட்டு திரும்ப வரதில்லை. அதில் ஒரு 2/3 ஆஃப் தி 1000 ரூபா நோட்டு, 3ல் 1 பங்கு 500 ரூபா நோட்டு திரும்ப வரதில்லைன்னு சொன்ன அப்புறமும் எதுக்காக 2000 ரூபா நோட்டு அப்படின்னு. இந்த 1000-500 ரூபா நோட்டை நாம் திரும்ப பெறும்பொழுது அதுக்கு 500 ரூபா நோட்டு 100 ரூபா நோட்டு கொடுக்குற அளவுக்கு நாம் பிரிண்ட் பண்ண முடியலைங்கிறது தான் உண்மை. அதுக்காக இந்த 2000 ரூபா நோட்டை பிரிண்ட் பண்ணதன் மூலமாக எந்த அளவுக்கு இந்த 1000-500 ரூபா நோட்டை நாம் ரீப்ளேஸ் பண்ண முடியும்னா, குறைஞ்ச நேரத்தில் அதிகம் வேல்யூ உள்ள கரன்சியை பிரிண்ட் பண்ணணுங்கிறதுக்காகத்தான் இதை பண்ணாங்களே தவிர இது ஒரு இன்டரிம் மெஷர் தான்.
The next question is, one of the potential sources of black money and its accounting is political donations. Will the present leadership at the center move towards contribution by checks alone and subject itself for scrutiny under RTA Act? There is also another question.
இதில் ரொம்ப முக்கியமானது என்னென்னா, இது ரொம்ப நாளாக இந்த நாட்டில் அரசியலில் நாணயம் இருக்கணும், அரசியல் கட்சிகள் ஒழுங்காக இருக்க வேண்டும், இந்த நாட்டில் ஜனநாயகத்தில் ஒரு நல்ல முடிவு ஏற்பட வேண்டும் தேர்தல் மூலமாக நினைக்கிறவங்க எல்லாருமே அரசாங்கமே இந்த எலெக்ஷனுக்கு வேண்டிய பணத்தை அரசியல் கட்சிகளுக்கு கொடுத்து எலெக்ஷனை நடத்தணும் அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு தாட் ரொம்ப நாளாக இருக்குது. ஜெர்மனியில் இந்த மாடல் இருக்குது. ஆனால் நம்ம நாட்டில் அது எந்த அளவுக்கு சுலபமாக இம்ப்ளிமெண்ட் பண்ண முடியுங்கிறத நாம் இன்னும் யோஜனையே பண்ணலை. நம்ம நாட்டில் எத்தனையோ பேர் பெரிய அறிஞர்கள், அறிவாளிகள்லாம் இருக்காங்க. நம்ம பிரதம மந்திரி இதை பற்றி பேசியிருக்கார். எப்படி அரசாங்கமே இந்த ஜனநாயகத்துக்காகவும் இந்த நாட்டினுடைய அரசியல் தூய்மைக்காகவும் எப்படி இந்த செலவை அரசாங்கமே ஏற்க முடியும். ஒரு சின்ன டேக்ஸ், எத்தனையோ ரோட் செஸ் போடுறோம், அது போடுறோம், இது மாதிரி எலெக்ஷன் செஸ் போடலாம். போட்டு எப்படி இந்த பணத்தை பிரித்து கொடுப்பது, எப்படி இந்த அரசியல் கட்சிகளை அவர்களை பாகுபாடு செய்வது. சிலதெல்லாம் முனிசிபல் லெவல் பார்ட்டி, அதெல்லாம் நேஷனல் லெவல் பார்ட்டின்னு கிளைம் பண்ணிட்டுருக்காங்க. என் ஃப்ரெண்டு தேவிலால்னு ஒருத்தர் இருந்தார், நீங்கள் பேரை கேள்விப்பட்டிருக்கீங்களான்னு தெரியல. ஹரியானாவில் அவர் சீஃப் மினிஸ்டர் இருந்தார், ரொம்ப க்ளோஸ் ஃப்ரெண்டு எனக்கு. அவரோடு நான் ஹரியானா பூரா சுற்றி இருக்கேன். அப்போது ஒரு நாள் சொல்லுவார், 4 பார்ட்டி மெர்ஜ் ஆக போகிறாங்க, அதில் உன்னிகிருஷ்ணன் ஒருத்தர் கேரளா பார்ட்டி, அது ஆட்டோ பார்ட்டி அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவார். அந்த பார்ட்டி மெம்பர் பூரா ஒரு ஆட்டோவில் வந்துடலாமா. இது பஸ்ஸு பார்ட்டி இப்படிம்பார், இந்த பார்ட்டி மெம்பர் பூரா பஸ்ஸில் வந்துடலாம், இவன்லாம் என்னோட மெர்ஜ் ஆக போகிறானா அப்படிம்பார். அதுபோல் இந்த சின்ன சின்ன பார்ட்டி, அது ஒரு லெட்டர் ஹெட்டு. இது பார்த்தீங்களா விசிட்டிங் கார்டு. தமிழ்நாட்டில் உங்களுக்கு எத்தனை பொலிட்டிக்கல் பார்ட்டி இருக்குதுன்னு தெரியுமா உங்களுக்கு? ஒரு 250 பொலிட்டிக்கல் பார்ட்டி இருக்குது. அம்பேத்கர் பேர்லேயே ஒரு 100 பார்ட்டி இருக்குது. அதனால் இந்த பொலிட்டிக்கல் பார்ட்டியை எப்படி டிசிப்ளின் பண்ணி பங்குபட்டு அதை எந்தெந்த லெவலில், எது ஸ்டேட் பார்ட்டி, எது முனிசிபல் பார்ட்டி, எப்படி நேஷனல் பார்ட்டி, எது ரீஜனல் பார்ட்டி, இப்படியெல்லாம் பாகுபாடு செய்து அரசாங்கத்தின் மூலமாக எலெக்ஷன் நடத்துறதுக்கு இந்த எத்தனையோ டெலிவிஷன் இருக்குது, அவங்களெல்லாம் இதுக்கு நேரம் கொடுக்கணும். இந்த எலெக்ஷன் மோடையே மாற்றணும். அதை தான் நம்ம பிரதம மந்திரி கூறியிருக்கார். அரசாங்கத்தின் மூலமாக ஜனநாயகத்தை தழைக்க வைப்பதற்காக இது மாதிரி ஒரு இந்த செலவு செய்யும் பொறுப்பு அரசாங்கம் ஏற்க வேண்டும் என்று அது ரொம்ப சீரியஸாக அதை பற்றி நாம் யோசனை பண்ணணும்னு நினைக்கிறேன்.
It is reported that there has been a spurt in bank deposit of over 3 lakh crores in the last fortnight of September 2016. Has it been probed into, and if so, whether the government can come out with details?
அது தவிர அதை நான் பார்த்தேன். ஆகஸ்ட் 2014 ஆகஸ்ட் 2015 வரலும் 9 lakh crores have been deposited, 9.2 lakh crores. அதே கரஸ்பாண்டிங் பீரியடில் ஆகஸ்ட் 2008 to 2015 to ஆகஸ்ட் 2016 பார்த்தீங்கன்னா 8 lakh crores தான். There has been a shortfall in deposits which have come, and it has also been noted that there has been a huge release of funds by the pay commission which has also gone into it. ஒன்று மாத்திரம் சொல்கிறேன், இது மாதிரி தப்பிச்சு போட்டிருந்தா யாரும் தப்பிக்க முடியாது. ஸோ அதை பற்றி ஒரி பண்ண தேவையில்லை. ரொம்ப அரவிந்த் கெஜ்ரிவாலையும் ரொம்ப சீரியஸாக எடுத்துக்கூடாது.
According to RBI, 60% of 14 lakh crores has been deposited in the banking system already. How much more do you expect will come by 31st December? And if more than 80% comes back into the system, can this exercise be termed as fruitful?
இந்த 16 லட்சம் கோடி ரூபா திரும்ப வந்தாலும் இது சக்ஸஸ் தான். ஏன்னா இந்த பிளாக் மணி ஒயிட் மணி ஆகிறதுங்கிறது உண்மை. இல்லைன்னா இது அன்ரெக்கார்டட் அன்மானிட்டர்ட் மணியாக இருக்கும். அதனால் இந்த பணம் பூரா பேங்கிங் சிஸ்டத்தில் வருவதே ஒரு பெரிய ஒரு முக்கியமான விஷயம். ரெண்டாவது, இந்த பணம் பிளாக் வெல்த்தை இனிமேல் சப்போர்ட் பண்ணுறது கஷ்டம். பிளாக் கேஷ் சப்போர்ட்ஸ் பிளாக் வெல்த். அது நிற்க வேண்டும் என்றால் இந்த கேஷ் பேங்கிங் சிஸ்டம்குள்ளே வந்த விட்டு இது ரெக்கார்டட் கேஷ் ஆகிவிடுது. யார் பேரில் இந்த கேஷ் இருக்குது, அது பினாமியாக இருந்தால் கூட அவன் பேரில் இருக்குங்கிறது ஆகிடுறது இல்லையா? அதனால் இது ஃபஸ்ட்டு. ரெண்டாவது, எந்த அளவுக்கு இதில் கேஷ் டெபாசிட் ஆகலையோ அந்த அளவுக்கு ரிசர்வ் பேங்க் கையில் மானிட்டரி சர்ப்ளஸ் ஆகும். அது 1 லட்சம் கோடியா 2 லட்சம் கோடியா 3 லட்சம் கோடியா தெரியாது. இது எத்தனை இது வரைக்கும் பேர்ன் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க, எத்தனை தூக்கு குப்பையில் போட்டிருக்காங்கங்கிறதுக்கும் கணக்கு இல்லை இது வரைக்கும். அதனால் கடைசி நாள் வரைக்கும் எந்த அளவுக்கு பணம் வங்கி உள்ள வர முடியும், எந்த அளவுக்கு இதில் வரி பணம் கிடைக்கும் அப்படிங்கிறது கடைசி வரைக்கும் தெரியாது. யார் யார் எந்தெந்த மூலமாக தன்னுடைய கருப்பு பணத்தை இது உள்ளே போட்டு அதை சரியாக பண்ணணும்னு அதுக்கும் நிறைய சார்ட்டர்ட் அக்கௌண்ட்லாம் இருக்காங்களே, அதெல்லாம் முயற்சி எல்லாம் பண்ணி அதுக்கப்புறம் தான் கவர்மெண்ட்டுக்கே புரியும் என்ன விஷயம்னு சொல்லி.
2.5 lakhs withdrawal allowed for weddings. I mean, this is slightly strongly worded, so I will I'll reduce the intensity. Can marriages be performed for 2.5 lakhs today?
நான் இது முதல்ல வந்த உடனே ஒரு ட்வீட் அனுப்பிச்சிருந்தேன். 2 பேர் அக்ரி பண்ணிட்டாக்கா அவங்க 500 ரூபா நோட்லேயும் 1000 ரூபா நோட்லேயும் இன்றைக்கும் டிரான்சாக்ஷன் பண்ண முடியும். ஏன்னா 2,80,000 ரூபாயை ஒரு ஆள் பேரில் டெபாசிட் பண்ண முடியும்னாக்க, அதுவும் டிசம்பர் 31 வரைக்கும் அந்த பணத்தை நீங்கள் அக்செப்ட் பண்ணுறதுல ப்ராப்ளமே கிடையாது. எனக்கு தெரிஞ்ச ஒரு கேஸ், ஒரு அம்மா ரொம்ப கஷ்டப்பட்டு ஒரு 42 லட்சம் ரூபா பணம் அவங்க சம்பாதிச்சு இந்த கல்யாணத்தை பண்ணணும் பொண்ணுக்காகன்னு இது வந்த உடனே அவங்க என்ன பண்ணுறதுன்னே புரியல. அப்போ இந்த 2.5 lakh ரூல் வந்த உடனே நான் சொன்னேன், நீங்கள் ஒரு 10-20 பேரை பிடிங்க, இந்த பணத்தை எல்லார் பேர்லேயும் போட்டு உங்கள் பொண்ணு கல்யாணத்தை நடத்துங்கன்னு. அது நடக்கத்தான் நடக்கிறது. அதாவது இந்த மாதிரி பிரச்சனை வரும்பொழுது இதில் எப்படி புத்திசாலித்தனமாக வெளியில் வருதுன்னு யோசனை பண்ணமே தவிர, ஐயோ இது விட்டுதே இதனால் இந்த அரசாங்கம் செய்தது தவறுன்னு சொல்கிறதுல அர்த்தம் கிடையாது. இன்னும் சொல்கிறேன், கிட்டத்தட்ட 1 லட்சம் ரியல் எஸ்டேட் டிரான்சாக்ஷனில் நம்பர் 2 மணி ஹஸ் எக்ஸ்சேஞ்ச் ஹேண்ட்ஸ். அவன் என்ன பண்ணுறதுன்னே தெரில, இந்த டிரான்சாக்ஷனை எப்படி எக்ஸிக்யூட் பண்ணுறதுன்னே தெரில. இது மாதிரி கேஸ் எல்லாம் கூட வந்திருக்கு. அதில் ஏதாவது கொஞ்சம் நாம் கருணை காட்ட முடியுமா? அதில்
What is the parameter that will define India's growth in the coming years? GDP, employment or anything else?
ஜிடிபியை ஒரு அப்சல்யூட் நம்பராக நாம் பார்க்குறது தவறு அப்படிங்கிறத 2004க்கு அப்புறம் அந்த ஜிடிபி க்ரோத் இருக்க அது எந்த அளவுக்கு மிஸ்லீடிங்காக இருந்திருக்கு, நமக்கு பெரிய மாயையை உருவாக்கியிருக்கு. இதுதான் உத்தமம்னு எப்படி நாம் ஏமாந்துட்டோம் அப்படிங்கிறது எல்லோருக்குமே தெரியும். ஆனால் இதை பற்றி பேசுகிறதுக்கு கூட யாரும் தயாரில்லை. அதாவது எந்த பேப்பரும் கூட எழுதலை, எங்கேயோ ஒரு இங்கேயும் அங்கேயுமா ஒரு அளவுக்கு எழுதியிருக்காங்களே தவிர நமக்கு ஜாப்ஸ் இல்லை, க்ரியேட் ஆகலைன்னு. இப்போ நரேந்திர மோடி வந்த அப்புறம் வேர் ஆர் ஜாப்ஸ் மிஸ்டர் மோடின்லாம் ஆர்டிக்கல் வருது. மன்மோகன் சிங் இருந்தபோது அது மாதிரி ஆர்டிக்கல்லாம் ஏன் எழுதுறது கிடையாது? ஏன்னா பொருளாதார நிபுணர் ஆச்சே, அவரை பற்றி எழுதக்கூடாதுங்கிறதுனால எழுதலை. ஆனால் உண்மை அதுதானே, அவரும் உங்களுக்கு உத்தியோகம் வளர்க்க முடியல, ஜாப் ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டிஸ் க்ரியேட் பண்ண முடியல, ரொம்ப குறைஞ்சது அவருடைய பீரியடில் தான். ஆனால் யாரும் எழுதலை. ஆனால் நரேந்திர மோடியை கேட்கலாம், ஏன்னா அவர் இந்த எந்த திசையில் நம்முடைய பொருளாதாரம் போய்கொண்டிருக்கிறதோ அந்த திசையில் போனால் நரேந்திர மோடியாக இருந்தாலும் இந்திரனாக இருந்தாலும் சந்திரனாக இருந்தாலும் வேலைவாய்ப்பு உருவாக்க முடியாது. அந்த மாறுதல் பண்ணணுங்கிறதுக்காகத்தான் அவர் இந்த மாதிரி முடிவு எடுத்து இதை பண்ணியிருக்காரே தவிர, அன்லெஸ் த growth ஷிஃப்ட் டு ரியல் growth and not inflationary wealth effect growth, there cannot be jobs. அதுதான் இந்த டிமானிட்டைசேஷனுடைய தாத்பரியம்.
ஒரு உண்மையான எதிர்க்கட்சி என்பது என்ன வேலை செய்ய வேண்டும்?
நிதிஷ்குமார் மாதிரி இருந்தாக்க நல்லபடியாக இருக்கும். முதல்ல காங்கிரஸ் அப்படி ஆரம்பித்தாங்க. எனக்கே ஒரு ஆச்சரியம், என்னடா இப்படி பண்ணுறாங்க அப்படின்னு. நாங்கள் இதை வரவேற்கிறோம் ஆனா அப்படின்னு ஆரம்பித்தாங்க. அதுக்கப்புறம் இந்த வரவேற்கிறது முடிஞ்சு போச்சு, ஆனா தான்.
By making a cashless economy and formalizing all economic activity, are we not providing access to foreign banks, forces to control and handle our economy?
Cashless economy is not possible. ஒரு சின்ன ஒரு ஸ்வீடன் மாதிரி நாட்டில் முடியுமே தவிர அமெரிக்காவிலே ஒரு பெரிய அளவுக்கு கேஷ் டிரான்சாக்ஷன்ஸ் இருக்கத்தான் செய்யும். நம்ம நாட்டில் கேஷ்லெஸ் எக்கானமி வராது. மினிமம் கேஷ் எக்கானமி வர முடியும், நீடட் கேஷ் எக்கானமி வர முடியும், சர்ப்ளஸ் கேஷ் எக்கானமி அவாய்ட் பண்ண முடியும். அதுக்கு கண்ணும் கருத்துமாக ரிசர்வ் பேங்க்கு, கவர்மெண்ட்டு, டாக்ஸேஷன் அஃபிஷியல்ஸ், பேங்கர்ஸ் இதுக்கு முயற்சி பண்ணணும். இதுக்காக பாலிசி தேவை. அதெல்லாம் இல்லாத கண்மூடித்தனமாக கேஷ் எக்கானமி வளர நம்ம எல்லாம் பார்த்து கொண்டு இருந்து விட்டு கேஷ்லெஸ் எக்கானமிக்கு போகணும்னா முடியாது. அதை பிரதம மந்திரியும் சொல்லியிருக்கார். கேஷ்லெஸ் எக்கானமி இஸ் நாட் பாசிபிள் ஓவர் நைட். கேஷ்லெஸ் எக்கானமி ஈவன் இன் அமெரிக்கா இட் இஸ் அ ட்ரீம். 7.5% ஆஃப் தி அமெரிக்கன் ஜிடிபி இஸ் இன் த ஃபார்ம் ஆஃப் கேஷ். அதனால் இது நடக்காது. நாம் எதையுமே ப்ராக்டிக்கலாக பார்க்கணும். ரொம்ப ஐடியலாக இது நடக்கணும்னு நினச்சா முடியாது. இது எந்த கவர்மெண்ட்டாக இருந்தாலும் இந்த கவர்மெண்ட்டாக இருந்தாலும் அது ஒரு பெரிய கற்பனையை நாம் அதை நிரூபிக்க முடியும் அப்படின்னு நினைக்கிறது தவறு.
The time given up to 30th December 2016 to deposit demonetized currency seems to be longer, giving time to black money holders to devise various ways to launder their black money. Can't they reduce the window period now?
இது முதல்ல கவர்மெண்ட் நோட் அச்சடித்த பிறகு தானே ரீமானிட்டைசேஷன் எந்த அளவுக்கு நடக்கிறதோ அந்த அளவுக்கு தானே டிமானிட்டைசேஷன் நடக்கும். This is one of the explicit reasons why our printing press capacity could not be enhanced. அதை என்ஹான்ஸ் பண்ணாலே இது எதுக்காக பண்ணுறாங்கங்கிற கேள்வி வந்துடும். அதனால் அதை பண்ண முடியல. அதை பண்ணாதனால இந்த ஒரு 50 நாள் அதிகமாக டைம் கொடுக்க வேண்டிய நெசசிட்டி வந்துடுது. இல்லை, இந்த நவம்பர் 30 முடிச்சிருக்கலாமே, இதை முடிக்க முடியாது. ஏனென்றால் அந்த அளவுக்கு நோட்டு தயாரிப்பதற்கு நம்மக்கிட்ட கெப்பாசிட்டி போகல.
Who are the experts and economists who are behind the Prime Minister in taking this historic decision?
எக்கானமிஸ்ட் யாரும் இல்லைன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். எந்த எக்கானமிஸ்ட்டும் இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு முடிவை எடுத்து அரசாங்கத்துக்கு ஆலோசனை கூறக்கூடியவங்க யாரும் கிடையாது. எக்கனாமிக்ஸ் தெரியாதவங்க தான் இதை பண்ணியிருக்க முடியும். ஏன்னா எக்கனாமிக்ஸ் தெரிஞ்சவங்களாக இருந்தால் இதெல்லாம் பண்ணிடாதீங்க, இப்படியே போகட்டும், இல்லைன்னா ஆபத்து வந்துரும்னு சொல்லுவாங்களே தவிர ஆபத்தை தடுக்கிற ஒரு பொருளாதார நிபுணரையும் நான் பார்க்கல இது வரைக்கும்.
The interaction between RBI and the government, is this going to change now?
இப்போ தான் ஆரம்பிச்சிருக்குன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். இது வரைக்கும் இன்ட்ராக்ஷன்லாம் ஒன்றும் நடந்ததாக தெரியல. அவர் வாரம் லெக்சர் கொடுப்பார் முன்னால் இருந்தவர். அது காரணம் என்னென்னா அவருக்கு இந்த நாட்டை பற்றி தெரியாது. வெளிநாட்டிலேருந்து இந்த நாட்டை புரிஞ்சிக்க முடியாதுங்கிறதுக்கு மகாத்மா காந்தி நம்ம நாட்டுக்கு வந்த உடனே அவர் கோகலே அவர் அழைத்தார். அழைத்து கூறினார், அப்பா நீ ரொம்ப நாளைக்கு வெளிநாட்டில் இருந்திருக்க, இந்த நாட்டை பற்றி உனக்கு தெரியாது, ஒரு வருஷம் இந்த நாட்டை சுற்றி பாரு, பார்த்த பிறகு நீ என்ன பண்ணணும்னு யோசனை பண்ணு, அது வரைக்கும் வாயை திறக்காதன்னு சொன்னார். மகாத்மா காந்தி கோட்டு சூட்டெல்லாம் போட்டுட்டு இந்த ஊரை சுற்றி வந்துட்டு கடைசியில் வெறும் முண்டு கட்டிட்டார். காரணம் என்னவென்றால், இந்த நாடு என்னன்னு புரிஞ்சிருந்ததுனால அவருடைய உடை மாறியது, நடை மாறியது, பேச்சு மாறியது, சிந்தனை மாறியது. கோட்டு போட்டுண்ட மகாத்மா காந்தி இந்த நாட்டை ஆண்டிருக்கவே முடியாது. எல்லாருடைய மனதிற்கு ஆட்சி அவர் பண்ண முடிஞ்சதுக்கு காரணமே அவர் இந்த கோட்டையும் சூட்டையும் எடுத்து போட்டது தான் காரணம். இந்த நாட்டை புரிந்து கொள்ள வேண்டும் என்றால் இந்த நாட்டை சுற்றி பார்ப்பதை தவிர வேறு வழி கிடையாது. என்னுடைய அனுபவம் அதுதான். இந்த உலகமயமாக்குதல், தாராளமயமாக்குதல் கொள்கை ஒரு பெரிய சுனாமி போல் வந்தபோது நானும் அந்த முடிவை தான் பண்ணேன். இந்த நாட்டில் பெரிய பெரிய உத்தியோகஸ்தர்கள், பெரிய பெரிய குரூப்ஸ்க்கெல்லாம் நான் அட்வைஸராக இருந்திருக்கேன், நண்பராக இருந்திருக்கேன். அவங்களுக்கு என்ன, இது ஒரு சுனாமி போல் வந்தது, எப்படி தடுப்பது, எப்படி சமாளிப்பது என்பது அவங்களுக்கு தெரியல. அப்போது யாருக்கு இப்படித்தான் செய்ய வேண்டும் என்கிற எண்ணமே இல்லை. எங்கே பார்த்தாலும் ஒரே குழப்பம். அப்போ நான் முடிவு பண்ணேன், இந்த நாட்டை சுற்றி பார்ப்பது மகாத்மா காந்தி எப்படி பண்ணாரோ அது மாதிரி நாம் பண்ணி பார்க்கலாம், அனுபவமாவது படலாம். அது மூலமாக ஒரு பெரிய ஒரு விளைவு ஏற்படுகிறதோ இல்லையோ, அது மூலமாக ஒரு தீர்வு காண முடிகிறதோ இல்லையோ, நாம் நாட்டை சுற்றி பார்க்கலாம் என்று நான் முதல்ல ஆரம்பித்தது பஞ்சாபில். எந்த இடத்துல ஆங்கிலம் குறைவாக தெரியுமோ, எந்த இடத்துல வளம் அதிகமாக இருக்கிறதோ, எந்த இடத்துல விவசாயம் அதிகமாக இருக்கிறது, அதே சமயத்தில் தொழில்கள் அதிகமாக இருக்கிறதோ அந்த இடத்த போய் பார்க்க வேண்டும் என்று லூதியானா, பட்டாலா, அம்ரிட்சர், அங்கேருந்து ராஜ்கோட், ஜாம்நகர், மோர்பி, அங்கேருந்து தூத்துக்குடி வரைக்கும் கிட்டத்தட்ட 3 வருடம் 42 இண்டஸ்ட்ரியல் கிளஸ்டரில் நேராக போய் நான் அதை பார்த்த பிறகு இந்த நாட்டினுடைய பொருளாதார நிபுணர்களுக்கும் இந்த நாட்டினுடைய பொருளாதாரத்துக்கும் சம்பந்தமே இல்லைன்னு எனக்கு அப்போ தான் தெரியும்.
I think, we have a large number of questions, but then I've distilled.
தமிழில் ஏதாவது கேள்வி யாரும் கொடுக்கல?
ஒருத்தர் தான் வந்தது, நான் படித்தேன். நான்
தமிழில் வந்து
ஆமாம்.
கேள்வி பதில் தமிழில் கூறுவதற்கு காரணம் என்னவென்றால், பல பேர் வந்து இது ஆங்கிலத்தில் மாத்திரம் பேசாதீங்க, அதுவும் துக்ளக்லேருந்து ஒரு கமாண்டே வந்தது எனக்கு, சார் நீங்கள் தமிழில் தான் சார் பேசணும் இன்னைக்கு. நான் சொன்னேன், நிறைய பேர் ஆங்கிலத்தில் பேசினா தான் சந்தோஷப்படுவாங்க, ஆங்கிலத்தில் பேசலைன்னா இவனுக்கு பொருளாதாரமே தெரியாதோன்னு கூட நினைப்பாங்க. அதனால் இது ஆங்கிலத்தில் பேசி முதல்ல என்னுடைய பொருளாதாரத்தை பற்றி எனக்கு பேச தெரியும்னு நிரூபித்து விட்டு கேள்வி பதில் மாத்திரம் தமிழில் கூறலாம் என்று நினச்சேன். ஏன்னா நம்ம நாட்டில் இங்கிலீஷில் பேசலைன்னா அவன் அறிவாளியே கிடையாது. அவன் இங்கிலீஷில் பேசினா மடையனாக இருந்தால் கூட நான் அறிவாளின்னு ஒத்துப்போனான். அது நம்முடைய. அதனால் தமிழில் யாராவது கேள்வி கேட்டிருந்தால் சந்தோஷம். துக்ளக்கில் கூட கேள்வி கேட்கல, ஏன்னு தெரியல. இங்கேருந்து கம்ப்ளைண்ட் எனியோ துக்ளக்கில் தான் நான் இன்னும் 2 ஆர்டிக்கிள் எழுத போகிறேனே. அதனால் இந்த அளவுக்கு பொறுமையாக இருந்து, நீங்கள் எல்லோரும் உங்கள் மனதில் ஒரு கவலை இருக்கிறதால தான், உங்கள் சொந்த கவலையில் நீங்கள் வரலை, இந்த நாட்டை பற்றிய கவலையில் தான் இங்கே வந்திருக்கீங்க. நான் எப்போவுமே சொல்லுவேன், ஒருத்தர் கவலைப்படுறார் அப்படின்னா, அதாவது தன் விஷயத்துக்கு இல்லாத பொது விஷயத்துக்காக கவலைப்படுறாருன்னா அந்த நாட்டில் ஜீவன் இருக்குதுன்னு அர்த்தம். ரெண்டாவது என்னென்னா, அந்த கவலைப்படுறவன் தனியாக உட்காந்து கவலைப்பட்டான்னு வச்சுங்க, அவன் தள்ள கை வச்சுட்டு வேறு வழியே இல்லைன்னு நினைப்பான். கவலைப்படுபவர்களை இணைக்க வேண்டும். எல்லா கவலைப்படுறவனையும் சேர்த்து இணைச்சிட்டா அந்த கவலையே, அந்த பலவீனமே பலமாக மாறிவிடும். எல்லோரையும் இணைக்கணும், கவலைப்படுறவங்க எல்லோரையும் இணைக்கணும். இதை தான் தலைவர்கள் செய்யணும், ஆன்மீகவாதிகள் செய்யணும், அறிவுஜீவிகள் செய்யணும், பத்திரிகைகள் செய்யணும். ஆனால் நம்ம நாட்டில் இந்த பத்திரிகைகள் பண்ணுற அட்டகாசம் இருக்குது. ஒரு பத்திரிக்கையில் 5 ஃபோட்டோ, இந்த ஏடிஎம் க்ளோஸ்டு, இந்த ஏடிஎம் க்ளோஸ்டு, இந்த ஏடிஎம் க்ளோஸ்டு, இந்த ஏடிஎம் க்ளோஸ்டு, லூதியானாவில் க்ளோஸ்டு, அப்புறம் இதில் டெல்லியில் க்ளோஸ்டு, தூத்துக்குடியில் க்ளோஸ்டு. நான் சொன்னேன், எத்தனை ஏடிஎம் திறந்துருக்குன்னு போட்டிங்களான்னு கேட்டேன். அது எப்படின்னா, அவங்க சைக்காலஜி அப்படி. ஒரு நாய் மனுஷனை கடிக்கும், பல இடத்துல கடிக்கும். யாராவது நியூஸ் பார்த்துருக்கீங்களோ? நாய் மனுஷனை கடிக்கிறது நியூஸ் போட மாட்டான். மனுஷன் நாயை கடிச்சிட்டான், ஒரு பைத்தியக்காரன் நாயை கடிச்சிட்டான்னு வச்சுங்க, அதை பெருசாக போடுவான். சென்னையில் மனிதன் நாயை கடித்தான், அதை பார்த்து எவனா அது கோயம்புத்தூரில் கடிச்சானா கோயம்புத்தூர்லேயும் கடிச்சிருக்கான், அடுத்தது மதுரையில் கடிச்சான்னா மதுரையிலையும் கடிச்சிருக்கான், அப்புறம் திருச்சியிலையும் கடிச்சிருக்கான். அப்புறம் கொஞ்ச நாள் கழித்து நமக்கு என்ன தோணும், நாயெல்லாம் கடிக்கிறது நிறுத்திடுத்து மனுஷன்தான் ஆரம்பிச்சிருக்காங்க. திஸ் இஸ் கால்ட் anecdotal நியூஸ். இந்த anecdotal நியூஸை ஒரு மாடலாக இதுதான் லைஃப் ஸ்டைல்னே மாற்றிடுறாங்க பேப்பரில். இது ஒரு பெரிய ஒரு தவறான விஷயம். மக்களும் அதை புரிந்து கொள்ள வேண்டும். மீடியா இதில் பாசிட்டிவ் ரோல் ப்ளே பண்ணியிருக்கணும். அவங்களும் எக்ஸைட்மெண்ட்டில் மாட்டிக்கொண்டு இதை பற்றி ஜனங்களுக்கு கவலையையும் ஒரு தவறான கருத்தையும் குழப்பத்தையும் உபயோகப்படுத்தினது ஒரு பெரிய தவறு. இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு முக்கியமான முடிவில் யாருக்கும் இதில் சொந்த லாபம் இருக்க முடியாது. இந்த முடிவு எடுத்தவங்க யாருக்கும் சொந்த லாபம் இருக்கிறதுக்கு வாய்ப்பே கிடையாது. அதனால் இதிலேருந்து மாற்று சிந்தனையை நாம் உருவாக்க வேண்டும் என்றால் இது போன்ற முயற்சிகள், இவ்வளவு பேரை இணைத்து ஒரு ஒட்டுமொத்தமாக ஒரு சிந்தனையை கொடுத்துருக்கோம். இதை நீங்கள் ஏற்றுக்கொள்ள வேண்டும் என்ற அவசியம் இல்லை. இது யோசிக்க வேண்டிய அவசியம். இது சரியா தப்பா என்று நிர்ணயம் செய்யக்கூடிய திறமை உங்களுக்கு இருக்குது, அனுபவம் உங்களுக்கு இருக்குது. பல பேர்கிட்ட இதை பற்றி பேசணும். இந்த கருத்தை உருவாக்குகிற இந்த முறை, லக்ஷ்மிபுரம் எங்கமென்ஸ் அசோசியேஷன் ஒரு 500 பேர் கூடுவாங்க, 200 பேர் கூடுவாங்க. அது மூலமாக பெரிய கருத்துகள் உருவாகும். அதுக்கப்புறம் விஜில் என்கிற ஒரு அமைப்பு இருந்தது, அது மறைந்து விட்டது. அது போன்ற பொதுக்கருத்தை உருவாக்குகிற அமைப்புகள் தேவை. சுயநலமில்லாத இந்த வேலையை செய்கிறவங்க தேவை. இந்த கருத்துக்களை பகிர்ந்து கொள்ளும் அந்த முறை இருக்கணும். அதுக்காக நேரம் செலவழிக்கணும். டிவி எதிர உட்கார்வதை குறைக்க வேண்டும். நியூஸ் பேப்பர் படிப்பதை அதிகப்படுத்த வேண்டும். அந்த நியூஸ் பேப்பரை செலிப்ரேட் பண்ணுவதற்காக இல்லை, அதில் என்ன தப்பு எழுதியிருக்கிறது கண்டுபிடிப்பதற்காக இதை கேண்டு ஒரு பத்திரிகை சம்பந்தப்பட்ட நான் இதை பேசுகிறேன் என்றால் என் மனதில் எந்த அளவுக்கு வேதனை இருக்கிறது என்று நீங்கள் புரிந்து கொள்ள வேண்டும். எல்லோருக்கும் என்னுடைய நமஸ்காரம், வணக்கம்.
I request Mr. Mahalingam to offer his concluding remarks, after which we will disperse with the national anthem.
There's really a worthy lecture that has been organized in the name of Mr. Nani Palkhivala. Nani Palkhivala essentially spent the most popular thing that he used to do was to give post-budget analysis, and it used to attract a lot of crowd. And one of the things that he tried to do in those lectures was to essentially simplify economics. And I think that's what Mr. Gurumurthy has done today. It has been a lecture where he has carried us, where he has essentially taken us through the economic changes that have taken place in the last 20 years, defined what are the true measures of success, also looked at the problem from different angles, including the fake money and control of terrorism and so on, and ultimately essentially talked about the courage that this decision has involved. And of course, there is going to be some pain, but it should really result in lasting benefit. So it has been truly a memorable lecture, and we should really thank Mr. Gurumurthy for keeping us all spellbound for nearly an hour and a half. Thank you very much.
I must profusely thank Mr. Gurumurthy for agreeing to deliver the first public lecture ever since this demonetization policy was announced. I thank you, sir, and Mr. Mahalingam as well. And thanks to the wonderful audience for your patience and response. Let's now stand for the national anthem.
भारत भाग्य विधाता,
पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा,
द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा,
विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा,
उच्छल जलधि तरंग, तव शुभ नाम जाने, तब शुभ आशीष मांगे।